Where does DJ Lagway rank among QBs in the country, within the SEC? A lot of the talk during the, there's no off season, but in between the regular and postseason, between years, is, putting out top 25 teams, putting out your top 10 players list. And Florida has a QB that's one of the most hyped QBs in the country, DJ Lagway. I mean, two that come to my mind of people ranking him. Bud Elliott, who works for CBS, has DJ Lagway ranked as his number one QB in the country, obviously number one in the SEC as well. And then Josh Pate, he has Lagway ranked as his number one QB in the SEC. And when he was giving his top 5 QBs, he said Klubnik first. It wasn't no order, but he said Klubnik first and Lagway second. So it's like, that's the second one that came to mind. Maybe he has him 4, 5, 3, 2, or 1. But, coming second to mind feels like it should mean something there. So where do you think Lagway stands going into the 2025 season?
Yeah. So what I was kind of starting to say before the commitment got us distracted, I think, from what I was looking at, like you said, there's a couple definitely that have him way higher up, like top 3, if not top 1. Most of the ones I was looking at, they're still high on him. They have him in the top 10, but usually more in like the 8 to 10 range.
Yep.
So I think there is kind of a gap between how we as Florida fans view him and how he's viewed nationally, although there are obviously a couple outliers, like you said. Obviously, I think, just reading our chat, I think most Florida fans would probably say he's close to number 1, if not number 1. I mean, I think to me, when I kind of look at it, there are, I would say, 3 guys that I would kind of personally feel like a little too much of a homer if I put them above Lagway.
Can I guess?
Yeah, go ahead, guess them. There's one I think there's one you will agree with, one you might, and one you probably won't.
Well, okay, I think I have a pretty good idea. So the one I'm going to agree with is Cade Klubnik.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Cade, I know you're a Clemson homer, but
yeah, I'm a Clemson homer. I am in a Clemson home right now, but I'm not a Clemson homer. No, I think Cade Klubnik really improved throughout the year last year. I like him a lot. He's probably my Heisman pick, honestly. If I did like put money on it right now, he'd probably be my Heisman pick.
So one I might agree on, but I'm thinking of a couple names. I'm between like Arch, Drew Aller, and like Lenora Sellers. I know you're high on Sellers, so I'm gonna say Sellers.
No, it's actually not Sellers. Sellers is not one of the 3, although he is one I would talk about.
I know who the one I don't agree with is.
Yeah, you probably I think that one's pretty obvious. It was Aller was the one that I thought you might agree with, might not. I think Aller is kind of underrated. Well, I think he's underrated. Like, I think people have because he's not like elite like that. Like, people have kind of underrated how efficient. Well, maybe not, but I think he's been really efficient and takes care of the ball. And he's done it with let's be honest, outside of Tyler Warren, their receiving core the last couple of years has not been good at all. So he's really been able to make it work with nothing much but a good run game and an elite tight end, which is not nothing, but it's not, the entire world either. And then I think you know who the third one I was going to say is.
I'll also say year 2 under Andy Kotelnicki is probably also going to be really good for Drew Aller and the Penn State passing offense. We know the run offense is going to be great. I mean, the one we don't agree with is going to be Garrett Nussmeier. No question about that.
Yeah. I've always kind of been a Nuss guy. I mean, I think he had his ups and downs last year, obviously. Definitely some moments that made you question, but I still think when you see it all work for Nuss, it's really impressive. And I think he's just shown more to this point. But those are really the only 3 that I feel like have definitively proven to me that they should be ahead of Lagway on this list. And I know you guys probably in the chat probably don't even agree with those 3. But I think the fact that it's only 3 in my mind still, I think, says a lot about Lagway going into his sophomore year. And then there's a couple other guys. Sorry, go. You can.
My point on Nuss. So I had a couple. I was actually talking about it yesterday. Nuss compared to Lagway. You can put Nuss above him. He's more proven statistically. He had more yards. I think something you have to look at though. Florida passed the ball 342 times last year. LSU passed it 534 times. Nussmeier had a lot of passing snaps because they only had 372 running plays compared to Florida's 461. So Nuss went for 4,000 yards, which is really good. I don't think they're necessarily those yards come because he was some elite QB. I think he was a good to really good QB who benefited from having an offense that has some really good receivers and tight ends, but also not being able to run the ball or the coaching staff neglecting running the ball. So I think they could have ran it better if they chose to, but they didn't really run it as much as most other teams would have. So I think he's a beneficiary of a passing offense, and I don't even think his touchdowns represent what you would have for those yards.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a fair point. I mean, I think especially because the biggest knock on Lagway coming, after his true freshman year was like decision making and efficiency. I mean, those are knocks. Those are things you can levy against Garrett Nussmeier too.
I have the stats here.
Yeah.
Lagway had 7 turnover worthy plays last year, and Nussmeier had 18.
Yeah, I mean, there's something I think that's where if it doesn't pan out for Garrett Nussmeier this season, it's because of that gunslinger mindset that he's really had since he first came in as a freshman at LSU, 2021 or whatever. We saw it a little bit there, and he's never really been able to buck it, and maybe that's good. Maybe that's what how he needs to play to be successful, but I think he definitely needs to cut back on those turnovers if he's going to have the kind of year to justify being ranked in the top 3, like I would put him.
Rob, Lagway is number 1 in college football and NFL. All right, who are some other names that you're debating in the same area as Lagway?
Yeah, I mean, I think you mentioned one of them, Lenoris Sellers. I think, look, I'm a big Lenoris Sellers guy. I'm fairly high on this South Carolina team, even though they lost a lot. They lost a decent amount of their guys.
I think South Carolina has a difficult schedule, and they lost. I think it was like 8 players to the NFL draft on defense.
Yeah.
The only other offensive weapon is going to be Nicholas Harbor, I think.
Yeah, they lost a ton of production. I mean, I think Sellers, like, I just said I like him, and I do, but I think he's almost gotten to the point where it's a little overhyped this offseason, just because I think for Lenoris Sellers to become the player that everyone talks about him now like he is, he needs to take more steps. Like, he was a good player. He was an electric player, could improvise and make things happen. But I think you definitely want to see a lot more like down to down efficiency, especially from him in the passing game. So like, he's kind of one of those guys that, like, if I'm being honest, he's proven more than Lagway at this point, but I'm not really convinced he's necessarily poised to be better this season. Another guy I think
Lagway's also going to have a better offensive around him. Maybe outside of play calling, like that's like the only difference, really.
That's probably true as well. Another guy that I'd say probably I view similarly, although I don't like him as much as I like Lenoris Sellers, would be like Sam Levitt. I think was kind of underrated from last season, and a young guy I think will get a lot better, but I don't think he has the tools that I think Lagway, if he maximizes his potential, will be a better quarterback than Sam Levitt. I'll be honest, one I don't get. Do you have anything you want to say about Levitt, or can I say what I was going to say?
I liked Levitt. Fast. I'm interested to see how Arizona State's going to be with Levitt putting the team on his shoulders and not having Scadaboo. I mean, he is Jordan Tyson, maybe the best returning. Maybe the second best receiver in college football behind Jeremiah Smith next year. So I'm interested to see how they do without Scadaboo.
Yeah. So the one that I don't get here, who you almost always see ranked above Lagway, even I believe it was Tom Fornelli of CBS Sports had him number 1 on his rankings going into this year. Arch Manning. I think Arch is going to be a good player. It's not to me that hard to imagine that he's better this year than Quinn Ewers has been at Texas. But he hasn't shown that. Like, I think I don't really understand, considering he and Lagway have had very similar pedigrees. I mean, Manning was like a slightly higher recruit, but I mean, you're talking number 1 overall versus number 4 overall. What was Lagway? Number 3, number 4 overall, something like that.
Lagway was number 7 in the composite, but it was because Rivals had him higher than like anyone else.
Okay.
Of course, Rivals again we mentioned.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, so it's like, what has Arch Manning shown? He hasn't made I think he's only made 2 starts maybe. And none, like, in neither
3,
of them was he like 3. Okay. In neither of them, or in none of them, I should say, was he like blow you away good. I mean, I think Lagway, even with the mistakes he made last year as a true freshman, definitely has shown more glimpses of stardom than Arch Manning has. And I mean, he's taken more snaps, so that's not a surprise necessarily, but I don't really get why. I mean, I do get it because because of his name, but like, taking that element out of it, I don't really get why we've crowned Arch Manning as the Heisman favorite. I think he's going to be good. I would probably bet he's still playing for Texas in 2026. I don't know if I think he's going to be so good that he goes to the draft this year. But I don't know. I'm curious how you feel about that.
Yeah. So about Arch, I mean, I think with Arch, you're getting a QB that, with his mobility and the talent around him, is going to leave you with a pretty high ceiling still. I mean, a pretty high floor, but he also still has that really high ceiling. I mean, he's been learning under the Manning name for his entire life. So I agree. I don't see how you can rank him number 1 going into the year. It's like you couldn't rank Lagway number 1 going into last year or anything like that, because I mean, he wasn't even projected to start. But like, yeah, I mean, you can put Arch like number 10 because you've seen him a little bit. But yeah, I don't understand having him in like that top 5 or number 1 especially.
Yeah, so I mean, those are kind of the guys. I mean, then you get into like guys like, we're talking like, do you think Rocco Becht is better than DJ Lagway? No. Do you
Becht
think
also, yeah.
Do you think Sawyer Becht Robertson's better than? Oh, sorry, go on.
Yeah, Beck is also losing 2 NFL wide receivers, and they're like 3rd round receivers, so he loses a lot on his offense.
And then, I mean, Carson Beck, like, he's a guy that shows up on these lists. Like, I think he'll have a better season this year than he did last year because of the competition and just, I think
better line play.
Better. Yeah. I think just in general, like, I think Miami, what they're doing offensively, schematically, is a lot better than what Georgia's doing, to be honest with you. So I think he'll have an improved, although they do lose the receivers that helped Cam Ward be good last year. So, I think that,
you mean, like, undrafted Xavier Restrepo?
Yeah, true. No, but like, I mean, I think there's reason to be optimistic about Carson Beck, but like, I don't know if I'm ready to say he's like going to be better than Lagway. Like, I think I'd probably take Lagway. If I'm being honest with myself, I'd probably put Lagway like 4th, maybe 5th behind Sellers, but like, I think I'd put him probably in the top 5. I would say. No, like, if I was doing what Pate did and didn't worry about the order and just pick my top 5, I'd say Lagway's probably in there.
Rob Arch.
That is true.
Oh, and of all these QBs, which one is undefeated when he plays the whole game? Arch is undefeated, but no.
That is a good point. That's also true.
If I'm looking, like, who would I have above Lagway? I think you also have to ask the question, how are we defining best QB? Are we just looking at stats? Like, are we just looking at, I'm not just saying like some G5 QB at Western Kentucky who throws for 5,000 yards like they always do. But like, I mean, if you're in the ACC, you're Cade Klubnik. I would be pretty shocked if Cade Klubnik isn't will have some of the most touchdowns and yards and fewest interceptions to everyone in the country. But maybe they're not going to be able to run the ball as well after losing Phil Maffa. I mean, so it's like they're probably going to have to throw the ball more. While Lagway, this offense, I'd be shocked if it isn't at least 50-50 run and pass. Probably still end up being more run than pass, pending on how those tough games go, I guess I should say. But I'm expecting us, so it's like, if Lagway, it's like we discussed earlier in the year with Lagway's Heisman odds. Like, if Lagway wins the Heisman, it's not going to be because he had unreal stats, but it's going to be because he had good stats while also playing and winning a lot of very high-level football games. So it's like, how do we determine, like, if Florida goes 11-1, 10-2, and Lagway played and won us some really good football games versus Klubnik, who, say they go 12-0, and Klubnik's torching LSU's a good team, or just like Boston College defenses.
Yeah.
8 of the 12 weeks, 9 of the 12 weeks of the season. What do you define as better?
Yeah, I mean, I think like it's a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. I mean, I think you have to take the situation into account, but this is also why like I've just not been very bullish and haven't really understood like the Heisman hype around Lagway, just because I don't really think, and maybe Billy proves me wrong, but like I don't really think he's playing in a system like you said where it's geared for quarterbacks to put up crazy numbers. I really don't think it is, especially when you have the offensive line and the running backs that Florida has. Like I think Billy Napier wants to run the ball 25 times a game and will win games that
only
way.
25.
Yeah, I know, like that was being generous to him here. Like that's kind of why, like, so I think there's something to be said for that. But at the same time, if Lagway is sitting in New York for the Heisman ceremony, I mean, sorry, if Klubnik's sitting in New York for the Heisman ceremony, and Clemson's 12-0, like even if Lagway looks really good, if his numbers aren't close, it'd be kind of hard for me to say he's better. You know what I mean? Like but I'm not really evaluating Lagway based on numbers this year because I don't really expect them to be like amazing. You know, I don't think he's gonna like put up a historically significant statistical season. So I think it's kind of eye test with Lagway and like, can he manage an offense that should be pretty good? You know, even outside of him with the run game and such, and can he elevate the passing game to be more dangerous? You know, it's the passing game under Billy to this point has kind of just been to set up the run. And I think with Lagway, especially when he was healthy, you kind of saw that change toward, hey, we can actually get explosive plays on a consistent basis in the passing game. And that maybe should be what we focus on. So I guess it depends if the offense looks more like it did in like the Kentucky game, or if it looks more like it did, you know, in the LSU game.
What's the difference
or like just,
in the
or
offense
just,
in this
I
game?
guess I'm just saying down the stretch when Lagway was injured, I think they took some stuff off his plate more so than from the earlier starts, I guess is what I'm saying. Like, I feel like
Lagway only had 7 completed passes against Kentucky.
So I guess maybe I'm literally just thinking of the
Samford game.
Samford game. Yeah, I guess I'm literally just thinking of the Samford game. But I guess my point is, like, we've seen moments where Lagway can elevate the passing offense and make it more than what it's been under Billy, even with solid quarterback play from Graham Mertz. I think the question is that going to be the way they try to do it this year? Like, that's what I don't know still.
Yeah, I mean, the QBs I'm going to mention around Lagway, I mean, it's like some of the similar ones that you have. Cade Klubnik, he's going to be a great QB. Just a matter of, is he going to be number 1 or is he going to be like 5? Other names, I mean, I'm not that high on a lot of QBs this year. I mean, Aller, I think we have some good points about Aller. You know, going to have Andy Konucki in year 2. That's going to help him a bunch. I think Arch's floor is high enough. So I'll have Arch in the discussion with him. But I'd honestly put Lagway 2 behind Klubnik.
Okay. Interesting. So you're kind of with Josh.
I want to put him 1.
Yeah.
I want to put him 1, but it's going to be a thing of there's a lot of anti-SEC bias happening right now. You know, around the college baseball world, what's happened in the college baseball tournament so far. And there's always a bunch of anti-SEC bias. So I'll follow that and give Klubnik 1.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I'll just say this. Like, I do think, and I'm not like trying to be down on Lagway. I just am trying to be realistic about it. Like, I think he showed last year that he has all the potential in the world, but I think he also, there's a lot of, like we've talked about, there's a lot of areas he needs to be better this year. If he's going to be the kind of quarterback that we've acted like he is in this segment, like he needs to take better care of the football. He needs to make smarter decisions. And I think he can and will. But I guess I feel like people have kind of, because of how fun that run was with Lagway, winning 4 in a row to end the season, I feel like people have kind of forgotten that was like far from a Lagway putting the team on his back situation. If anything, it was the defense putting the team on its back. So
I think it's also, we learned Lagway wasn't healthy at all last year. Like, even when he put up the 450 yards against Samford and, you know, struggling a bit, the whole team was struggling a bit early in the season against Miami, Texas A&M. So it's like, I'm just like, if that was Lagway at like 60%, I'm excited to see what he's going to look like at 100% or 90%, you know? I feel like the sky's just the limit, and he just has that winning persona to him that I think is going to, again, it's the question, if you're beating those great teams, maybe it's not, you're not throwing for 350, 400 yards a game, but you're winning those elite games. But you still have a great run game to go with it. I also wonder how much his run game is going to go this year, because Lagway was a 1,000-yard rusher his senior year of high school. I mean, like coming out of high school, there's a lot of talk about his run game, but because of those injuries his freshman season, I feel like a lot of people don't talk about his dual threat capabilities going into his sophomore year. So I'm excited to see if that also maybe adds, I mean, maybe more explosiveness and excitement, but also more stats to his game. And some of those mistakes we saw him where he forced some throws into coverage and threw some interceptions, maybe he would have ran the ball a couple of those times. And I mean, you're adding the chance of a fumble, but that's a lot less. I don't think Lagway fumbled the ball at all last year, if I'm remembering correctly. So, much more chance that you're not going to turn it over when you're running it than on those plays when you threw an interception.
Yeah, I mean, I think Lagway, what's come to light, I mean, obviously we knew about the hamstring at the time, but I think what's come to light with the shoulder and stuff, I think it's kind of made me reevaluate a little bit how I look at Lagway's mobility, because I think after last year, because I went into last year thinking that Lagway's mobility would be an element of his game. After last year, I kind of was like, I'm not sure he's really going to be a runner. Like, I think he might more just be a guy who moves in the pocket, but when you think about the injury limitations he was dealing with, like you said, what he was able to do in high school and kind of the glimpses we saw before the hamstring injury, especially, I think you could see, I think it's definitely possible. I guess you just wonder how much they give him the green light to do that with the injury problems he's been dealing with. But dude, this kind of sort of related, but did you see the picture of him with standing next to Anthony Richardson? Dude.
Yep.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
I knew Lagway had bulked up and gotten pretty big, but man, I mean, he makes Anthony Richardson look like a freshman who hasn't been in the strength program yet. Like, it's unbelievable.
Yeah. So it's like, we're looking at the running capabilities. Like, I don't think Lagway is a tier 1 running quarterback like a Lamar Jackson, Anthony Richardson, or like a Jaden Daniels. But I think he could easily put himself in like tier 2 of mobile QBs. And it's a guy that still has a great arm. I mean, who are some names I'm trying to compare? Like, I think Trevor Lawrence was a really good running QB. I think Lagway's still a good bit better than he is. But
I actually don't hate that comp. I don't hate that comp because Trevor's big like that. I mean, Trevor's 6'6". He's a little taller, but I do
he's
kind of like a sneaky runner, though. Like, you don't necessarily expect it, but you have to respect it.
Everyone obviously remembers the Ohio State game where he breaks off that crazy running touchdown. Was that 2019 or 2020? I can't remember. But
I think that was 2020.
Yeah, so it's like, I think he's still a bit quicker and he's more physical than T-Law will be or was. So I think he's a little bit more, but I see the comp with Trevor Lawrence a bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think he's more of a Tebow-esque kind of runner where he's going to more run in terms of power than it is in terms of like, he's not going to be juking people out necessarily. Yeah.
Michael Vick.
I mean, look, if he's Michael Vick, then I think he should be number 1 on both of our lists. But we'll
in
see.
the games, he's going to play like Michael Vick because I know he still has like 90 speed, which I think is a little bit. Or in last year's college football game, he had 90 speed. I don't know if they're going to turn that down a notch, but I think that's a little too quick. But I'm not going to complain about it.
Yeah,
a quicker Tebow.
Yeah, I think like a more agile Tebow, and he's not quite as big as Tebow is either. I don't think. Maybe he is. How big is Tebow?
Tebow. Let me pull it up here. Tebow college size. He was 6'3", 230, or 6'3", 240.
So actually, kind of similar. Yeah. Okay.
I think Lagway's just a bit more athletic.
Is Lagway listed at 6'4"?
No, he's 6'3".
Okay.
He is listed at. Let's see. I have the roster on there over here. DJ Lagway is listed at 6'3", 241. They're literally. Wow. Tim Tebow is 6'3", 245. Lagway 6'3", 241. Lagway is a bit more athletic, so I think that's a bit of our comp there because Lagway, I think, will play with some physicality when he needs to.
Yeah, that's wild. I did not realize they were literally like pound for pound identical builds.
I'm assuming you mean elusive, but
yeah. Yeah, definitely is though, I would say. I mean, again, it's hard to say because we only saw like a game and a half full with him where he was, or like 2 games where he wasn't like limited by the hamstring. So
it was hamstring, right? I forgot what it was. I was thinking of it the other day. I'm like, was it hamstring?
Yeah, it was hamstring.